Ilia Topuria does it again. Another devastating KO of a UFC legend. I didn't think he would put Charles Olivera out like that. I thought it'd be a TKO. He puts him out cold. It shows he's a different kind of puncher. He has generational power. And honestly, he's a superstar of the UFC at this point. Like, who do they really have, bro? Paddy Pimblett? Like, Sean O'Malley? No, bro. It's Ilia Topuria. No one else. I think he can run through the lightweight division if he wants to, but the way that Ilia moves, you could tell that he kind of makes legacy moves. He doesn't... Defending your belt could be seen as a legacy move. It is a legacy move, right? But it seems like he's kind of like he wants more like name value more than racking up defenses, if that makes sense. Which I'm not mad at, honestly. But at the moment, I don't really know who could beat him. Like, honestly, I really don't. So today, I'm going to create another tier list of fighters that I think he'll face in the near future or maybe next. So it's a list of about 10 fighters. The first fighter being Dustin Gachi. So this possibly could happen next. I hope it doesn't because it's such a pointless fight. And I hate saying that a fighter doesn't really have, a good chance or a chance at all, but realistically, he doesn't, man. He's old at this point. I think against big punchers, that's his kryptonite. He gets hurt in almost every fight. His only saving grace would be the low kicks, which I think he could have success with, like maybe in the first few minutes of the first round, but Ilia will adjust to the late kicks and he'll find that shot. I think he could KO him in the first round as well. Maybe even worse than Charles Olivera. But I truly don't see how Dustin Gachi wins the fight. I think Ilia is better than him everywhere in the pocket, mid-range. He's a better boxer, better wrestler, better grappler. I would put Dustin Gachi at the no way tier because there's no way he fucking beats Ilia. Let's be real. And by the way, I'll show the full tier list at the end of the video. But on to the next contender. It's going to be a rematch with Max Holloway. So personally, I do think that Max is going to beat Dustin. So if Max maybe gets another win after, I could see them fighting again if Ilia is still a lightweight. I think Max could do better in the next fight. Very good striker, we already know that. Takedown defense is pretty good, but against Ilia at 145, Ilia was able to secure a double leg very easily. So I think at 155 with him being, more heavier, not as drained, it'd be even easier. If Ilia wanted to take that route to try to, take him down and ground and pound, kind of work for a sub, I could see it. But ultimately, I think, Max Holloway doesn't have enough firepower to deter Ilia Topuria. He's going to put him on the back foot again. He's going to find that shot. I think it will come a little later. And I can see Max maybe still in one round, maybe even two. I like in the first fight how Max was, disguising his head kicks. But I really don't know a realm where he would have more success. Maybe if he invested the body more, but I still think Ilia wins that fight 9 out of 10 times. I would put Max Holloway at the low chance tier. So the next contender up on the tier list is Max Holloway's opponent, Dustin Poirier. So this is hypothetically, you never know. Maybe Dustin Poirier gets a brutal KO over Max Holloway. He's like, fuck it. Let me just try to, fight Topuria. You never know. So yeah, like hypothetically, I've always said it. I think prime Dustin Poirier would give Ilia a run for his money. It'd be a great fight. But at this point, I think, Ilia would KO him. But the thing about Poirier is he's very sloppy. Like, he's very sloppy at times. And he's also pretty slow cardio, but there's just so many openings for Ilia down the middle. I think Ilia finds a shot in the first 3 rounds. I like to check hook for Ilia in that fight. But I think up until the KO, Dustin will give him a very competitive fight. Like I said, if this is prime DP, I might give DP like a 50-50 chance. But at this point, I would give Dustin Poirier, just because I respect him, I'll give him a decent chance. But I think, like, realistically, he's probably at the low chance tier. So the next victim on the tier list is Dan Hooker. No, I'm just kidding. I'm a big fan of Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker is a very good fighter. I think he's super underrated. But with that being said, he's very slow. He's very lackadaisical. He's not bad on the back foot. He's actually pretty good on the back foot, to be fair. But I think he's very slow. He's open. There's a lot of openings for Ilia to get into. I think he's going to slip and rip to the body. He's going to be able to counter over the top of Hooker's shots. Hooker does not move his head off the center line. Hooker being long in his frame could give, Ilia problems early, but I think Ilia has so much experience with these long fighters now that it's not really as big as a detriment as people think. But yeah, I think Hooker not moving his head off the center line is just a recipe for disaster. I think if Ilia goes in there like switched on like he usually does, I would not be surprised if he knocks out Dan Hooker in the first round. I would have to put Dan Hooker at the low chance tier. I'm a big fan of Dan Hooker, but Ilia's style is just all wrong for him. It's just super bad. I think he knocks him the fuck out. So the next contender up on the tier list is Paddy Pimblett, bro. Oh my god, Paddy, bro. I really don't want this to happen next, bro. Like, I just don't think he's ready for that fight yet, man. Like Paddy's wrestling is not good. His grappling is very elite. We all know that. He has to get it there though. What is he? He can't work off the cage and try to trip him out. That's not gonna happen. Ilia has very good body manipulation, that Greco-Roman style. It's not gonna happen. On the feet, he just out of depth. Like, I know he outstruck Michael Chandler, but bro, Michael Chandler is so fucking rudimentary. He just throws one big shot after another. He doesn't work behind the jab. He doesn't set things up. He's not an educated striker. He's just a brute, and he got figured out by Paddy Pimblett. Credit to Paddy, but Paddy doesn't really have nothing for Ilia on the feet. You could say head kicks, but at this point, Ilia knows that was his weakness, and he's been addressing that weakness very good in the Max Holloway fight and the Volk fight. The only thing I can say for Paddy is maybe, like, the low kicks. He has pretty good low kicks. That could be a decent avenue, but he's another guy like Hooker. He doesn't move his fucking head out the center line. I think Ilia will find the shot if he wants to. Like, that's how bad I think Paddy's defense is. Whenever Ilia wants to find the shot, he'll find it. Ilia digs to the body. He could also stop Paddy there. I think he would, like, crumble him, but it's probably going to be a shot to the head. I think Ilia knocks him out in, like, the first 2 rounds, honestly. I would like to give Paddy a better chance, but I think Paddy's at the low chance tier. He has literally... What is he going to do with Ilia? Like, what is he going to do, bro? Come on. So the next contender up on the tier list is Raphael Fizzv. Raphael Fizzv is one of my favorite fighters. On the feet, Fizzv has very elite speed. He might be a little quicker than Ilia, but when it comes to, like, boxing exchanges and quicker to the punch, I would say that it might be neck and neck. I just think when it comes to, like, combinations and chaining strikes together, Fizzv's, like, super, super fast. One thing I like for Fizzv is that off the combinations, he usually ends them with head kicks, which could be, very disguising to Ilia. It could catch him off guard, right? He doesn't have much power, though. Like, I've noticed over the time that Fizzv's power is, like, very overrated. He's kind of like Paulo Costa. Like, he's very muscle bound, and you're like, damn, that dude looks like he could crack, but really doesn't, have the same results as, like, an Ilia. He doesn't one punch guys. Although I love Fizzv, like, his boxing, it needs a lot of work. He doesn't have a great jab, and he's not very diverse when it comes to boxing. The leg kicks, that could be an avenue for Raphael Fizzv, but a lot of his low kicks are very naked. For some reason, he doesn't like to disguise them too much. He'll just whip them out, which they're very quick, but I don't think he could get away with that versus Ilia. He's also a guy that leaves his head on the center line. He rarely, moves his head side to side or just tries to get out the way. I think the fight will actually go to the 3rd or 4th rounds, but I think Ilia invests into the body. We know that Fizzv slows down. I think eventually Fizzv will crumble, but I think the fight will be very exciting. I think we'll have a lot of moments of success against Ilia. I would have to put Fizzv at the decent chance tier. Like, I think he'll give him a good fight, but I don't think he wins. I think Ilia wins that fight 10 out of 10 times. But like I said, it'll be a great fight until it ends. So the next contender up on the tier list is Matteo Gamro. Gamrot's a very good fighter. He's elite. His grappling is actually amazing. Very good chain wrestler, but that style is... I don't think it'll work against Ilia. Like, Ilia being a shorter guy with good takedown defense and very strong, like, I think that goes a long way in the lightweight division. Another thing too, Gamrot, he doesn't have head movement. His striking is very, very rudimentary. He doesn't have power on the feet. He hasn't got a KO in, like, what, maybe 4 years, something like that. I think he KO'd Holtzman, like, back in the day. Like, come on, bro. But a tell for Gamrot, he gets hurt in almost every fight. I think the fight would be very simple. Ilia stuffs the takedowns and just puts Gamrot away in the first 2 rounds. I think the fight would actually be very one-sided, to be honest. I would have to put Mateusz Gamrot at the low chance tier. I just think if you're a one-dimensional specialist, you're not going to beat Ilia. You have to be a jack of all trades with threatening power. I think that's how you beat Ilia. But Gamrot's not going to be that guy. So the next contender up on the tier list is Mauricio Ruffy. I forgot his last name. I think it's like Santos or some shit. I think actually Ruffy will give Ilia a very good fight. We've seen Ruffy stopped in the regional scene. We've seen him slow down a little bit, like against James Lawtop. I think that's how you say his name. Ruffy's range control is very elite. He's very diverse. I think the first 2 rounds will actually be very, very difficult for Ilia. But in the later rounds, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I think Ilia will start stepping to him. I think he'll start slipping and getting into the pocket. He'll start ripping to the body. I think he'll find a lot of shots. I think once he slips some of Ruffy's shots, like, it's going to be a lot of damage put on Ruffy. Ruffy likes to overextend sometimes. He commits to his punches, which is very good, but there's also a kryptonite to that because you could get slipped on and, you know, ripped on, basically. That sounded fucking corny, but I think eventually Ruffy will get wear down. And also I see Ilia actually shooting in that fight just because of the distance control from Ruffy and to throw Ruffy's game off, if that makes sense. Because Ilia is a very smart fighter. Like I said, I think Ruffy wins the first 2 rounds, but the later rounds, I think he gets probably rear naked choked, but I think he could get KO'd too because he overextends, like I said. You can't get touched by Ilia, honestly. But that would be a very exciting fight to see in the future. I would have to put Mauricio Ruffy at the decent chance tier. I think the reason I'm putting him at decent chance is because I think the fight will be competitive up until he gets finished. So I think that's the correct placement. We're down to the last 2 fighters. The first one being Armen Sarukin. So a lot of people have been talking about this. A lot of people have been favoring Armen Sarukin in this fight. I get it. He could do everything. He's a jack of all trades. A very good style. The first thing with Armen is he slows down. We know this. In 5 rounders, he slows down. And I know Ilia is going to go to his body. He's going to slow him down. Armen being a shorter guy like Ilia, the takedowns might be a little more accessible for him. I think if Armen could work in the open to shoot, like if he shoots entries in the open, he could have success. But I don't know. I think Armen's going to try to work off the cage, and that's just not going to work. Like, he might be able to get a double off the cage momentarily, but I see Ilia working his way up back to the feet. Armen's not a submission threat guy, so Ilia doesn't have really any threats there. And also, I think Ilia would be able to scramble with him, and he's very strong. He's very fast twitch. I think he can work his way up back to the feet. I just think a lot of the grappling exchanges are going to be on the cage. I don't see them in the open, so that's why I don't really give Armen really a good shot to control Ilia. And if he can get Ilia down in the first round, let's say hypothetically, what's going to happen? If he controls him right, he's just going to ride it out. He's going to be a half guard right out the round. But what's going to happen? They're going to go back to the second round. Ilia's going to be back up on the feet, stuff to takedowns. I think in this fight, it's going to be like an avalanche effect for Armen. I think he'll have some early success with the grappling. But I just think the body shots, the pressure, him fighting on the back foot, he's probably going to start shooting some bad entries and get stuffed. It's just going to be a crumbling effect for him. So I'd put Armen at the decent chance tier. I think he has a decent shot at beating Ilia, but I'd pick Ilia like 8 or 9 out of 10 times to win the fight. I think eventually Ilia just gets to him. And also, it seems like the cut is kind of rough for Armen, so I just think it's a recipe for disaster, but maybe that's a hot take. So the last fighter on the tier list is no other than Islam Makhachev, pound for pound number 1. I think JDM might beat him, but let's say hypothetically he beats JDM. I'm going to predict this fight if it was at like 155. So let's say if he comes back down. I think the fight is so close. My thing with Islam is he struggles against Ilia's archetype. Armen, Volk, and kind of Dustin Poirier as well. Shorter guys, good takedown defense, and very strong. He has trouble, taking those guys down, and that's literally what Ilia is. Except Ilia has better takedown defense than all of them. Maybe Volk is like tooth and nail, but he's strong, he's young. Volk said too, like, Islam's strength is not out of this world, it's just his body manipulation. And Ilia has very good Greco-Roman, like I said. He's a very good grappler, and I think it's possible Islam could get him down, but I don't know how long Islam could hold him down, because like I said, I don't think if Islam could get a takedown in the open, I think that's where Ilia's in danger, and Islam could have success in the front headlock position. He could work some Dars and Anacondas. If he gets Ilia there, Ilia's done. Like, I don't think anyone could get out of Islam's Anacondas and his Dars chokes. Like, he's so good in that position, but I don't know. I don't think he gets it there. I think just like the Armen fight, a lot of the exchanges are going to be against the cage, and if it's on the cage, I think Ilia is just going to have so much success there, stuffing the takedowns and shrugging Islam off. Another thing too is on the feet, Islam striking it's gotten better. Like, it's gotten better. I can't say anything. It's way better than it used to be. I think his striking is a little overinflated because, you know, he has a takedown threat. Just like Bilal, they have takedown threat. So their striking is always going to look better than it really is. But against Armen and Ilia, like, I think guys with takedown defense, Islam striking is not going to be as successful, right? Just logically. When he's on the front foot, he looks very uncomfortable. There's times where he throws, like, very open and telegraph combinations. I don't like that. Also on the back foot, he has very good footwork. He's very evasive. I like that for Islam as well. He has a very, very bad instinct, and like it's just one of his tendencies. He throws the right hook. He's a southpaw, right? So he throws a check hook. He'll just wing it out. You could tell it's like very instinctual because there's times where he doesn't really need to, but he'll throw the check hook. I could see Ilia, you know, pull countering that and landing the right hand or landing the check hook. I just think against Ilia, Islam is going to be very vulnerable on the back foot, especially when he's backed up against the cage. If Islam could work like stepping knees, elbows to intercept Ilia as he blitzes in, I would like that. Like, I think he'll have success doing that, right? But I don't think he's quick enough to beat Ilia to that point. Head kicks, I don't really think are going to be a big problem because a lot of Islam's head kicks usually, he only throws head kicks from the left side, and they're very telegraphed. So I think Ilia's going to see them coming. If he could disguise the lead high kick, I think it would be a different case, but he doesn't throw the lead high kick. He's just a left side heavy guy, right? So I think the way this fight goes is Islam kind of wears on Ilia early in the clinch and kind of just stalls it out. But I think eventually Ilia is going to stuff the takedowns, similar to the Armen fight, and just start putting him on the back foot and putting that damage on him, putting combinations together. The big reason of why I favor Ilia at 155 is because I always say it. These guys in MMA that bulk their biggest to another division, they move up, right? And then after a few fights or a fight, they come back down to their original division. It never fucking works. You're depleting yourself even more because now you're a bigger guy and your chin is just, it's not the same. We've seen Islam KO'd before. Granted, that was a long time ago, but, you know, Volk rocked him. We've seen guys have good moments against him, right? I think Ilia would hurt him bad, man. I think eventually Ilia will find that shot. He'll find the check hook, he'll find an uppercut, straight right. I think he'll put Islam away. I really do. I still think the fight is a 50-50, so I would put Islam at the 50-50 chance tier. It's such a good fight. It's a close fight. Very intriguing. At 170, I think I would favor Islam like 51-49. I still think it's not like a huge difference because he's still a former 155er, and he said that he's having trouble, you know, bulking up right now. Islam literally said that out of his mouth. So I think it won't be like a crazy difference, but I would favor Islam at 170, just like very, very narrowly. But 155, I think Ilia gets him, man. Let me know in the comments if you have any disagreements of what I said. Ilia's a fucking generational talent. Like, that dude, he's a good fighter, man. Like, let's be real. He talks, but he's been walking the walk as well, knocking these dudes out, saying what he's gonna do and then doing it, right? But yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any disagreements, and also let me know if y'all place anyone in different tiers. I think these Ilia fights are just gonna get more and more exciting. It sucks that lightweight right now is kind of stale. Like people don't want to say that, but it's kind of stale, honestly. There's not even a clear-cut contender right now. Like, it's fucking insane, man. But yeah, I'll be back for the next one. Like and subscribe.